gentlemen, we are back in New York City with Music on the Road. Remember when Harlem was in vogue? 100 years ago began what would be known as the Harlem Renaissance. Following the Great Migration and in the wake of the First World War, the arts and social consciousness of African Americans got a long-awaited, powerful new breath. In 1917, Ridley Torrance wrote 3 one-act plays focusing specifically on non-stereotype black characters in his feature, 3 Plays for a Negro Theater. That same year, poet Claude McKay wrote Harlem Dancer, laying the groundwork for a cornerstone of cultural revolution. Well, more than art, more than a renaissance, the Harlemite movement with its activists and poets gave the black community a voice. A voice that the whole country, black and white, and soon the entire world would hear swing and dance on. Langston Hughes was one of these voices, one of the first to bring jazz and poetry together to form one of the most iconic landmarks of black American identity in U.S. history. These words and notes together will soon resonate at the Apollo or Lafayette Theater, the 2 legendary black venues where music and dancing pulse through the veins of black society, placing the roots of Harlem at the heart of the country. As early as 1970, other New Yorkers followed Hughes's way and became the pioneers of another American-born music, hip-hop. Gil Scott-Heron, Coke LaRock alongside Kool Herc, then Africa Bambaataa or Grandmaster Flash opened a new page in the history of American music. 100 years have passed, and Harlem, stronghold of the black identity, is changing fast, and so is the music scene. But today we are meeting with a unique trio, a trio that could only grow in Harlem. Darian, spiritual grandson of the Harlem poets, gathered Ian, the bassist, and Curtis, the violinist. Together, they're bringing spoken word, jazz, and even classical music together to rekindle the spirit of the Renaissance. From uptown to downtown, from the underground to the rooftops of Manhattan. Let's ride through New York City with the mighty Third Rail, the trio that makes Harlem sing again.
Now, I'm classically trained in fiending for fame. Little did I know success would happen in waves, but back then it was only the beginning. I was ready for the world to be the talk of the town. 9/11 and the world turns upside down. The government bushwhacks and dicks us around. Corruption runs amok. I'm like, what the beep? The majority sleeps on U.S. coup d'etats and fixed elections, I'm guessing. This is what happens when a society loses direction. Refuse to sit and sulk when incredible hope. The rage within urged me to pick up a pen and speak out and shout about the conditions we living in. Rock mics at open mics and a poet is born. I'm thinking they kind of feeling me. Keep pushing night after night and you might get good at this poetry. Beyond the silly, make sure your delivery is neatly wrapped in sincerity. Practice some humility and be thankful for this opportunity of discovering a new piece of your identity. I was very much involved in kind of the poetry slam scene, the New Eurekan Poets Cafe, the Bowery Poetry Club. But there was a point when I really wanted to take poetry beyond just the slam scene. And I wanted to figure out how to incorporate it into theater, how I could incorporate it into music. And so I ended up finding Ian and Curtis. It's its own poem, you know? To be living in Harlem and doing poetry and creating music. And thinking about some of the other Harlem poets like Langston Hughes and Sekou Sundiata, Gil Scott-Heron, carrying the torch in some ways, you know. As beautiful as it is, it's in a weird place where a lot of people are wondering whether or not the richness and historical authenticity of what this neighborhood is will be preserved. It's all about making sure that Harlem stays Harlem. So that's the beautiful part of music. You're building on top of what's already there.
Ain't no stopping us, ain't no stopping us. New age, new wave of the conscious populace, to the conscious populace. Directing every metropolis, they don't know what to do with us, cause swimming upstream. We flip the script, new scene, always falling through the scene. Say, come on, say, come on, say, come on. I think you like this. Now clap with it, clap with it, clap with it. Clap with it, 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 clap with it. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Hot damn.
What would I be doing on a Monday morning at 10 a.m. to make money? We average, depending on the day and the weather and the train schedule, between $20 and $30 an hour a piece. So that pays a lot better than most gigs. So I was like, it's a morning job, basically. It's a part-time gig. I do this on the side. That's kind of why I called it the side band. Baby got 'em open all over town. Strictly bitch, you don't play around. Cover much ground. Got game by the pound. Getting paid is her forte. And to the play away each and every day. I can't get her out of my mind. Wow. I think about the girl all the time. Oh, east side to the west side. Pushing fat rides. It's no surprise that Gucci got tricks in the stash. Stacking up the cash fast when it comes.
Lately I've had the strangest feeling. With no reason here to fly.
For some reason, that train conductor really doesn't like us. He sees us as slowing him down, I think. So, he said, get off the train or I'm calling the cops. At that point, I had to just get off the train and go to the next one. But it's fun. I could do other things to make money. I'm probably capable of teaching at a school or something else, but I prefer this. I prefer performing over everything, really.
Both my parents are musicians. My mom's a violinist. She's Greek, but she lived in Poland. And she plays a lot of traditional Greek music infused with jazz and funk and all these cool things. My dad is a jazz tuba player, and he teaches over at Juilliard right across the street. And he's played with all sorts of people, Dizzy Gillespie and Chick Corea and Sonny Rollins. So I grew up in a world of music my whole life, both classical and jazz. All those musics kind of like find their way into the Mighty Third Rail. How's it sounding?
Well, we're going to find out in a second.
New strings.
New strings. It's a different
Like
animal. The basic character of the instrument won't disappear, but we can enhance certain things or downplay certain things based on the strings. And then, of course, he has to like the feel of them and the sound under his ear, which is sometimes very different from what the listener hears in the audience. So we have to walk that tightrope all the time. Okay, sweetheart, let's hear it.
And already I play in a string quartet as well as the Mighty Third Rail. And so we mix jazz and classical and our modern music that we love, that we listen to since we were kids, which is hip-hop. And when the music comes together into one space, it gets all mixed up, and then people are trying to sell the music to this huge audience. And so they have to call it country or they have to call it jazz because they're trying to sell it to a certain group of people. But really it's just music, and it just happens to come from a certain place, and it hasn't evolved into the next thing yet.
So what's next? Well, that's anyone's bet. But one thing's for sure, New York will always come to Harlem, and the world to New York City. Harlem dances on, and I'll leave you with these fine gentlemen singing to tear down the fences.
Give me the love, that's what's up, never enough. Always a must, and God we trust. Glory at the end of the story, together forever like Bert and Ernie. Even in death, we keep the party jumping like Weekend and Bernie's. A raising hands up, a hype crowd is always a plus. No drama, no fuss, just us. Justice for the underprivileged. It's a privilege to give this to those who listen. I come with good intentions, driven by intuition. My life's mission to uplift the masses. By any means, I have a dream where people get what they need. Non-believers won't believe. I ain't talking about religion. I'm talking about a new way of living, where peace and harmonies are given. No blood, no drugs, no love, just love in love supreme. Know what I mean? Come on, I said. Hey! My love supreme. My country, tis of thee, land of the free, but not without me. My country, tis of thee, land of the free, but not without me, 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 but not. Let's go. I want to welcome you to the new America. Where votes are counted, elections actually matter, and leaders look a lot like me. But don't be alarmed, we're not just Negroes. Rainbow Coalition is in full effect. Racism is far from over, but we're working on it. Here is where hope trumps fear, and there is nothing to fear but fear itself. And now is winter of all discontent, made glorious summer by the son of a Kenyan. So brace yourself for the new day. We can feel the sun beaming in our faces. The calm before the economic storm. This is the new America of hardship and struggle. And yet the faith with which we place our confidence in the promise of something better has never been brighter. Our potential, glaring and blaring, stirring in our souls, the light ricocheting from one person to the next. This is what a movement looks like when it actually moves. You can blame it on the new America.